called Joe Biden, and we want our country back. Even in these liberal cities, as I said, New York City, Southern California, you know why I think they're waking up even faster than other places are? Because they have these blue cities, these Democrat mayors, who are driving their cities into the ground. Right. I'm going to be really honest. We used to, when I was, a mother with 2 little kids, we used to go to San Francisco for the summer. Phoenix is hot in the summer, so we escape in the summer. And we used to go to San Francisco, one of the most beautiful cities, I feel, in the world, 15 years ago. We stopped going. You could not pay me to go to San Francisco right now, right? I mean, you could give me an all-expenses trip to San Francisco in the fanciest hotel, and I would say, no thanks, I don't want that. And so these people in these blue cities, we have a real opportunity to wake them up because they're seeing it with their own eyes. There's no law and order. The homeless encampments are building up on the side of the streets and freeways. I even know somebody who lives on Venice Beach, and they said they have homeless people living on their front lawn and they can't kick them off. Wow. Can you imagine? I was the only person in a governor's race in the whole country that had a plan to solve the chronic street homelessness. To solve it. I'm not talking about hurting these people. I want to lift them up. I don't believe for 1 second that God envisioned any one of us with a needle in our arm living on the side of the street. No way. We had a plan. We were going to use something called tough love. How many of you grew up like when I did 50 some years ago? Tough love is the greatest love ever. We're going to lift these people up and make them contributing citizens of society. That's the greatest thing. But we can't do that if we have a wide open border. We get people off drugs and then there's drugs flowing in. We can't do that. So we have the greatest plans, and that's why they had to stop us. Nobody believes right now. I know you heard my song earlier. Nobody believes for 1 second that Joe Biden won, right? You do not lose 17 out of 18 bellwether counties and win. You just don't. You do not win only 16% of counties across America and somehow get the most votes in American history. We didn't fall off the turnip truck yesterday, guys. We know bullshit when we see it, right? You know who got the most votes of any incumbent president in history?
Donald J. Trump.
It's kind of funny. He was so popular, they had to even blow the doors off to try to make Joe Biden win. It's like, we're not going to believe this, and we are not going to take this insult on our intelligence anymore. And that's why I'm so proud of the song that Ed came to me and said, hey, you guys all know Ed Henry, right? One of the good guys that we love. He came to me and said, can we take your spoken word from a speech you did at CPAC where you said 81 million votes my ass, and make that into a song? And at first I said, Ed, let me sleep on it. This seems a little bit out there for me. I mean, I don't sing and I don't dance, by the way. And I slept on it. I prayed to God. I said, what do you want me to do on this one? And I realized that the powers that be, and I mean the evil people who are stealing power, they don't want us talking about stolen elections, right? You can talk about anything else, literally. Anything. The things that used to be taboo are not taboo anymore. You can go into a first grade class and tell boys they can be girls. You can tell a sixth grader that they should shun their parents and get a sex change. But you can't talk about corruption in our elections. You know what, we're going to talk about it, and now we're going to sing about it, thanks to Ed. We're number one today on the music charts. Number one. God is so amazing. I never ever thought I would be number one on the music chart. If you would have told me that, 4 or 5 years ago, oh, we might be number one on hip hop? Is that rap? I might be the number one rap artist in America right now. kids. I said to them in our family text thread, I said, Mom's #1 on the music charts. And my daughter, I gotta get this acronym right, because I might screw it up. And no, how do you say? I don't want to say the F word. Well, I'm just not going to say. She basically said the F word like no effing way. Yes, effing way, Ruby. Where are you, Ruby? She's in here somewhere. Yes, Mama's on top of the music charts. Okay. Fauci, no Fauci way. Kevin said, don't say the F word. Just say Fauci is the F word. Honestly. Fauci is worse than the F word. He's worse than the F word. So, honestly, when Ed came to me and said, we love that speech, can we use your spoken word? We want to put a song together. I thought if we can get more people feeling that they can talk about our elections, because sadly, even Republicans are saying don't talk about it. We have to talk about election corruption, guys. Seriously. I'm just a mother, okay? And I know that in my own family, if we've got troubles, you don't solve those troubles by sticking your head in the sand, right? If you've got trouble in your marriage, if you find out your teenager's using drugs or something horrible like that, you don't stick your head in the sand and go, the problem will go away. You address it head on. That's why we need more mothers involved in politics, because we know how to solve problems. Crazy. So, they didn't just corrupt our elections and rig our elections, they stole our government from we the people. And I'm tired of it. And ignoring it's not going to make it go away. I was sounding the alarm bells. And I had people saying, just be quiet, it's going to hurt your political career. I don't give a damn about my political career. I don't want a political career. I want my country back. I have an 18-year-old son. He's almost 19. He reminds me of that every day. And my 20-year-old. And I just want them to have a country that is as good as the country I grew up in. And guess what? We're going to get there. I promise you that. We're going to get there. Would you believe, though, that they cheated bigger in 22 than they did in 20? At least in Arizona they did. They went, holy smokes, we got Trump in heels versus a total, I'm using President Trump's words because he called my opponent this. He goes, man, she's a drip and a dud. And she really was. I mean, I'm not even trying to be mean. It's just she did not have the ability to communicate policy because the left has no policy. They don't. Somebody said none. Whatever they do have that's policy, all you got to do is look to LA, New York, San Francisco, Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. Have you seen the video of these cities? They don't give a damn about us. They want to destroy us. And so it was really horrible what they did. And in a weird way, about a week before the election, I was praying to God because God has been with me the whole time. And I can't wait to tell you how I got into this in the first place. It was God. And well, let me detour actually. Before I tell you what happened in a conversation with me and God a week before the election, let me tell you how I got into this, okay? I grew up in Iowa in the 80s. President Reagan was my president. How many of you are children of the 80s? That's right. We call it the red pill generation. We didn't need red pills because we were living with, you know, the greatest president of all. Actually, the second greatest president of all, Ronald Reagan. I think President Trump is the greatest president. Yeah. An amazing thing, you know, growing up in that, we saw Ronald Reagan come in and kind of save America from the ash heap that Jimmy Carter left us in. And he did that with optimism, with great policy. He brought us together through patriotism. And the left is so worried about patriotism because that is the one thing that binds us together. Whether you grew up in Cuba, whether you grew up in Pennsylvania, whether you grew up in Iowa, whether you grew up in another country, it's the one thing that binds us together. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, what your religion is. If you love this country, that's what binds us together. So, amen. So I registered as a Republican the day I turned 18. And been a Republican my whole life, except for a few years when I saw that we were being led from one war to the next, and I had those two precious babies on either hip. How many moms out there can hold two babies at a time? Okay, remember that? We had two that were 18 months apart, you were holding two babies on your hips. And I looked at what they were offering us and I said, these guys are just going to push us into another war, another endless war. And so I took a shot, I voted on a different ticket, and that turned out to be a mistake. They didn't give us any options. And then this amazing man came down the escalator about 8 years ago, almost to the date, and I said, thank you, God. Finally somebody who gets it, who's speaking to we the people, who wants to give the government back to us. By the way, his name is Kari Lake. I think you're familiar with him. And that's what 24 is about. It's about getting us back on that solid footing. There's a lot of new faces, though, jumping into the race. Have you noticed that? How many people do you think we have? I was told we have 1,000 people here. I don't know. Is that possible? I'm not a good... Okay. I have heard this because I never thought in my life I would actually be hiring pollsters, but I found myself hiring pollsters when I got into politics. And they say that the best polls are done when you have 1,000 people or right around there. So I think we have an official poll in this room. What do you think? Let's do a poll right now. I heard, I just saw that Chris Christie announced he's running. Finish my sentence. I'm sneaking off the stage. The crowd's turning. There goes the speech. I was thinking, wow, good, he's running. Is that better? Okay. I thought, well, this is great. He's running. He's going to take control of his health. I love that. Then I found out he's actually running for president. So who in this room thinks Chris Christie is the best choice for nominee for president on their Hollywood ticket? Raise your hand. I don't see a single hand. How about, is it Ada or Asa or Hutchinson? Ooh, he's polling at 0%. Okay, show of hands, how many of you want to see him on the general election ticket? Really, honestly, Asa Hutchinson, how many of you? Asa who? Who said that? Asa who? He just put out a statement siding with this illegitimate, weaponized Joe Biden administration. He's supporting their indictment of President Trump. Asa, time for you to register as a full-on communist, because we're not interested. No. Okay, I'm wondering, we all know this name. How many of you, show of hands, would like to see Mike Pence on the ticket? I think the summers are really beautiful in Indiana. You might just want to go back there and hang out for the summer. I'll be honest, it's very sad to see how we he turned his back on President Trump. And we the people on January 6th, when he had a chance to show some courage, he didn't do it. Actually, I just gave the keynote address at the Georgia convention because Mike Pence backed out last minute. Last minute. And you know, it's probably a good thing for the Georgia GOP because they were bleeding support. When people found out Mike Pence was speaking, they said we want our money back. Which is sad because the Georgia GOP is actually a strong GOP and we need them to make money. They're actually pushing to get America First candidates in.
Damn pit.
When they called me and I'm giving up on this one. When they called me and I know how Mike's works at times. But we're talking about Mike Pence right now. I don't know how he works, actually. So they called me and said, can you please help us out? We need someone to speak. I said, absolutely. And they called me back the next morning and they said, we put out the word that you were going to speak and we sold out. Most tickets ever. 900 people showed up. I promise you, I'm not saying that to be boastful. I'm really not. I'm saying that to tell these establishment rhinos, this party is the party of America first. We don't want anything else. America first, make America great again. Okay, so there's one other person I want to ask you about when you do a show. There might be some people in this crowd. I might see a hand or two. How about, I want a show of hands. How many are for Ron DeSantis for the nominee? I think what we've seen is a character flaw here. It's a character flaw. When somebody backs you up and supports you, when you turn your back, to me that tells me everything. Alright, so now is the real poll. I wish we had like somebody here to measure the noise here, because we might actually cause an earthquake in Florida. How many of you, how do you feel about this next candidate, my friend Donald J. Trump? Yeah! I mean, do we even need these high-priced, overpriced pollsters anymore? It's over. It's over. Let me be very clear about everything right now. Donald Trump is the Republican nominee for 2020. Anyone who suggests otherwise is either delusional or they have a financial incentive to push one of these other candidates. And I mean, they're really not pushing their best with these other guys. Let's face it, these are high-priced DC consultants. They all want to rub a little bit of money. They want to make some money while they can. And they're trying to sell us something that we don't want and we don't need, frankly. We have the Babe Ruth of politics in our midst. Right? Why would we want some Little League players? This is crazy stuff. So we're not going to let them do it. Donald Trump is our guy. He's going to be the president. I think I know for a fact, I thought we had a couple of hands, but actually we didn't. There was no hands for any of these other candidates.
None.
I want you to know that if you go out there and encounter someone who's, been brainwashed into one of these other guys, let them know, fine, go ahead, do what you want to do, but when the Election's over, the primary, the presidential preference, and Trump is the nominee. We're gonna open our arms, give you a bear hug, and welcome you in. I do. I want the Democrats who are waking up. I mean, Democrats are waking up every single day because of the nonsense they're seeing, and I want them. Inside every Democrat is a conservative, Republican, MAGA, ultra MAGA Republican just dying to get out, right? So, yeah, we've seen enough of the nonsense. 8 years ago, as I said, Trump came down that escalator. He shook us out of that slumber we were in. A lot of us were just enjoying our lives, not even aware of how corrupt things were. How many of you, since Trump came down that escalator, have woken up to how corrupt our government is, how corrupt the news is? Unbelievable. Okay, how many of you knew before then? Okay, we have some OGs in here. Got some OGs in here, don't we? I always think, I'm so awake right now. I mean, I think of the people who've been wide awake for 30 years, how hard it is for them. How hard is it for us as we're waiting for more people to catch up to what's really going on in this world? Imagine if 30 years ago you were onto it. How hard it is for them. So I'm actually praying for them tonight. So we watched as the deep state and their mouthpiece in the propaganda news, as Trump calls them, fake news, continue to push this nonsense. They cannot keep this man down.
No way.
Trump is a warrior. A warrior. He's Godzilla, and they're just little tiny geckos running around. Maybe an occasional iguana, but he's Godzilla. The more they attack him, the stronger President Trump gets. I was actually on the phone with him on Thursday night when the bogus BS indictment came down. And I half expected him to be a little bit down and out. I mean, how many times can you be punched before you just kind of go, oh, I can't take it? This guy was upbeat. I called him. He said, how are you, Kari? I go, who cares about me? How are you? How the hell are you? And he's doing great. He knows that America is with him. He knows that this is BS. And what he also knows is that the way the other side is reacting is not how you react when you are in a position of strength.
Right.
How many of you are moms or dads or grandparents? You know what happens when there's a little temper tantrum going on with a toddler? They're not in a position of strength, right? You just kind of watch them. The temper tantrum's happening. You watch them thrash around, cry, and pretty soon they're done. And then you pick them up and go, okay, mom's right. Mom's right. So they're trying to bring Trump down because they know, and this is what scares them the most, they know that he has caught them in the most heinous crimes ever. And they're afraid. Donald Trump is a lion. A lion. Which actually is technically part of the cat family, right? And don't they say cats have 9 lives? I'm starting to think that Trump has way more than 9 lives, okay? Impeachment hoax #1, impeachment hoax #2, Russiagate, Russia, the perfect phone call, the lies of the media, all of this stuff. And that's why I'm going to go to Miami tomorrow and support him.
Yeah! Thank you! Good job!
They're so upset about that. I mean, the left, the articles they've written, you swear that I recited something. It's like, come on, people. I'm talking about using our First Amendment, okay? Our First Amendment. I hope actually to see some of you there. Is anybody planning on just showing up just to show support? Raise your hand. This is great. This is the greatest MAGA club I've ever seen. If you can't make it, I encourage you to say a prayer. Because I know that people pray for me all the time, and I will tell you that means so much to me. And we all have Trump's back. I know that. I know every one of us would stand up and we would fend off anybody who was trying to go after him. What we need to do, if we can, I know we're living in Biden country and Biden inflation right now, and it's not good. Make a donation to Trump. They're trying to bleed his coffers with lawfare right now. You get that? Meanwhile, the donor class is putting money into another candidate. They want to bleed his coffers so that he has no money left to fight for us. So if you can afford it, and I never like to ask for anything, but let's put 10, 20 bucks in Trump's coffer because he's going to fight this bogus BS. These corrupt swamp creatures are hell-bent on forcing us into something really ugly, and I think that's the reason we're here today. We know that if we don't stand up and fight right now, our kids, our grandkids are going to be stuck in a country where they have no rights, where the Bill of Rights doesn't exist, where they're owned and controlled by some globalist dictators. I'm going to tell you what, they have pissed off the wrong people.
Oh, yeah.
They've awoken the sleeping giant, and I'm not talking about Chris Christie. They woke up the mama bears, okay?
When I saw her, I knew you were
There's a
close
big
by.
difference between mom when she's mad, or even just extend this out to your wife. When your wife is mad, it's one thing. When your mom is mad, it's one thing. When your mom is pissed off, that's a whole other level. And when you've got the mama bears pissed off to where they're like, okay, we're taking care of our kiddos, we're raising a family, and now we have to go save our country, you've got pissed off women. And you do not want millions of pissed off women to be coming out here. And that's where we are right now. And this mama bear is going to protect and do everything she can to defend our lives from dangerous. So I talked a little bit about how we ended up here. Like right now I'm standing here going, pinch me, is this real? You know, 3 years ago I was in the middle of my career. I told you I grew up in Iowa. Family of 9, youngest of 8 girls and 1 boy. So we had to work for everything. I mean, if we wanted toothpaste and shampoo, we had to get a job and work for it. I'm not kidding. I babysat when I started babysitting at 7. This was back in the 70s when you would actually leave your baby with a 7-year-old, okay? I started babysitting at 7. I paid for my own toothpaste, I paid for my own shampoo, and I wouldn't trade any of that for anything. I'm glad I didn't have helicopter parents. My parents were too busy working to be helicopter parents. And so I worked my way through college. I started college at 16. I paid my way through college. I decided to be a broadcast journalist. I like to tell people stories. I was interested in how people made it in this world, and I wanted to tell people stories. So I worked really hard to become a TV journalist, and then I worked my way up and I got the big break when Phoenix, Arizona called me and said, we want you to come down and work here. I worked 27 years as a broadcast journalist in Arizona, the leading face and voice of news in Arizona. And almost that entire time, and Ed's gonna know this, me and my co-anchor were #1. That doesn't exist anymore. I mean, I was making a pretty good paycheck. And then COVID struck, and like so many of us, we went, what the hell's going on? Something's wrong here. I finally lifted my nose off the grindstone after working since I was 7, because my family believed that you should work as a child. And I said, what's happened to my industry? What's happened to journalism? It ceased to become journalism. And so I, with my amazing husband, he's somewhere here, right there, amazing guy in the beard. He was watching me during COVID. They sent half of us home to work at home because we didn't want to spread COVID. And so I would finish doing the news and I realized, wow, this is just a bunch of fear and division that's being pushed. And I don't want to push this on the people. I want to tell the full truth, not half-truths. So I talked to my husband, I said, I don't feel like I can do this anymore. This is really, really becoming difficult for me. I don't feel like I'm being honest with the people. How do you feel about me walking away from a 7-figure contract? To which my amazing husband said, if you want to, yes, go ahead and do that. And God gave me the strength. At one moment, I said, God, am I making the biggest mistake of my life here? Am I going to regret this? give me a sign. And I opened the Bible, which was at my desk, and I just closed my eyes and put my finger down. And the verse that was staring me back in the face was 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 7. You bring nothing into this world, and you take nothing out.
That's right.
Right then, I took that as a sign from God, and I said, you know what? I need to walk away. Little did I know that the good people of Arizona, who I covered for 27 years, would tell me after seeing the video I put out, explaining to them why I was leaving. It wasn't because I didn't love them, I just didn't want to be dishonest with them. They started reaching out to me in droves, by the thousands, saying, thank you for being honest. We knew something was wrong in the media. Would you please consider running for office? And I thought, okay, they must hate me. I'm leaving the world of the fake news, the corrupt corporate news, and they want me to get into the even more corrupt world of politics? Are they crazy? Do they think I'm crazy? But then I got to thinking about our founding fathers. Guess what? They wanted us, we the people, to run for office.
Yeah.
They did not. Samuel Adams, John Hancock, none of these guys envisioned Nancy Pelosi, okay? They didn't. They didn't envision Joe Biden. What did he say once he was in politics for 100 years? It feels like that. They wanted farmers and ranchers and business people and fathers, and at the time they probably didn't imagine mothers, let's be honest. But they wanted real people, citizen politicians, as Ronald Reagan said, to step forward and run. And not want to be career politicians. I'm done with those people. You run, you represent the people of your community, you do good things for them, you help make our country better, and then you back up and you go back to your life. That's how it's supposed to be. So I agree. I'll tell you, we led the most incredible campaign. 525 days on the campaign trail. We did anywhere from 6 to 10 events a day. I treated every day like it was the most important breaking news day of my life. Incredible people, we had incredible solutions, common sense, America first. I called it Arizona first, because we took what Trump did on a national scale, we boiled it back down to Arizona. We need to remind these states that we're 50 sovereign states. We're not serfs of the federal government. And I started sounding the alarm bells about rotten rigged elections. The other Republican candidates were rhinos, they didn't want to talk about it. I started talking about the border and how we need to secure it and call it what it is, an invasion on our border. The other guys didn't want to talk about it. The Arizona swamp knew that with a Governor Kari Lake, they were going to get the border shut down to crime. They were going to get honest elections, and they said, oh my God, we can't do that. And so they had to steal the election. They put 300,000 bogus ballots in, pumped in, with no chain of custody. And then they rigged our election machines on 3 different dates in October, 14th, 17th, and 18th. They rigged our election machines to fail on election day when Republican voters were showing up.
Right.
And we caught them, we got them on video doing it. And sadly, we still have judges who are ruling against us, but you know what, that's okay. We know the system is corrupt from top to bottom. And what we're trying to do is wake the American people up. If they're going to rig our elections, then we are enslaved. Then we are enslaved people. We're not going to allow for that. So we're going to continue to reject Republican politicians who are capitalizing on this illegitimate indictment of Trump. We're going to reject Republican politicians who say, don't talk about the 2020 election. Don't vote for those people.
No.
And if you get an establishment candidate who's got the stones to stand up here on this stage, you gotta ask them, what do you think about the 2020 election? Was 2022 fair? And if they backpedal, if they try to hem and haw about it, do not give those people your vote, okay? We're gonna solve our election problem here. We see them for who they are, we really do. We don't want people who are puppets and someone's pulling the strings, right? We're gonna cut those strings right now. We're tired of them. It's time to cut the strings. We don't want a president who's bought and paid for by the CCP. We don't want a president who's bought and paid for by Zelensky. And this isn't a rumor, this is a fact. And this is why they're having this bogus indictment of Trump. Because on the same day we found out that Biden took another payout from the communist regime in China, the same day they indicted Trump. We're sick of it, we're sick of it. So we're ready to not have these candidates controlled by our foreign adversaries, the military-industrial complex. We want a president who works for we the people. And I think there's only one man who qualifies. Yeah. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Donald Trump. So, I really am, I found myself in politics on this amazing journey with the most incredible people. We didn't have politicos behind us. We had mama bears who were dropping their kids off at school. They had 3 or 4 free hours, and they would normally work out and have coffee. They were getting politically involved. We had grandmothers, dads, students. The young people are with us even right now. We have an opportunity. Yeah? Because you know why? They had the most amazing years of their life taken from them by this outrageous COVID policy. Just think for 1 second what we were doing when we were 18 to 25 years old. Don't verbalize it, but just think about it. We don't have to tell everybody what we were up to. They didn't have that opportunity to have that fun. They were masked up even longer than anybody else. Our children were masked up longer than anybody else. They lost their ability to play sports and get scholarships, to hang out with their friends, to do prom, to, all of the things that we did. And these young people know who's behind that. And that's why they're with Donald Trump and really the America First movement. Because they've got to try to force for the future. And they're counting on us to rise to this occasion. When I walked away from my salary, I really thought, what good is this major, massive paycheck? What good is your paycheck? What good is your pension, your 401k, and your investment if we don't have a country to enjoy that in? We need to put everything on the line. The next year and 4 months, I am willing to literally drain my bank account, work my ass off to save this country. Now listen, I've been working since I was 7. If I drain it all, we get Trump in office, he turns it around, I'll start over. I'm happy to start over. I can wait tables. I know how to. I was a janitor at one moment in my life. I am willing to take everything I've got and throw it at saving this country. Who's ready to do that? Who's willing to give everything we've got to save our country? Our ancestors are counting on it. Our ancestors, the ones who signed the Declaration of Independence, are counting on it. The ones who crafted the United States Constitution are counting on us right now. Not only our children, but those who came before us. Those who stormed the beaches at Normandy, Omaha Beach. Yeah. Those young men, 18 years old, saved this world. And they're counting on us to stand up right now. We can't just have Trump standing up. Think about this. If one of you stands up, Caroline, if you stand up. She's like, what do you do? You all know Caroline ran, right? Okay. If one of us stands up, we go, girl, stay standing up. We go, that's a brave soul. I stood up and I walked away from the fake news. If another person stands up, we go, okay, I guess I can. Then we get another one, and another one, and another one, and pretty soon we're all standing up. They can't arrest all of us. They can't indict all of us. They can't stop all of us. We are so powerful together. And we know that, guys, we know that. And so we don't care what names they call us. We don't care if they call us election deniers. I've been called worse. Actually, that's kind of a funny name. I'm not denying the election happened. I know it was rigged to high heaven. So we're no longer the silent majority. We are the major majority, the overwhelming majority. I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to fight in the courts. I'm going to lawfare these bastards to death.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
You guys